Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lawcast. This time, we're going back once again to the Attitude Era to cover the Royal Rumble 1999. Cush, what'd you think of this one?
This is a really kind of weird show because as an actual wrestling show, like if you're just going through the archive of all the Royal Rumbles and you're watching it, you're going to come to this one and be like, wow, this is one of the shittiest Royal Rumbles of all time.
It definitely is, especially the Rumble match itself.
Yeah. But in the terms of the greater narrative, this is a really fun show. A lot of really kooky stuff happens on here that's going to be great to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it kept all the stories moving. It was interesting advancements in the stories they were telling, which at this point were The Rock versus Mankind, Austin versus McMahon, and I guess you'd throw in kind of The Undertaker forming the Ministry of Darkness are kind of their big three stories at this point.
And it's kind of important to realize that at this point, the way Vince Russo books, and this has always been the way that he's done it, he's not looking for you to look back 10 years later, watch the show, and be like, man, this thing really holds up. What a great self-contained show. It's just the overarching narrative. That's all he gives a shit about. Like this, it's just an extension of what he did on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, it's booking in the moment, and in a sense, that makes sense. You know, they're there to draw money. You don't draw money. I mean, you can draw some money on residuals on DVD sales year after the fact, but the money is in getting people to buy the tickets that night and buy the pay-per-view that night.
Yeah. And I mean, the times that I've gone back and like watched all the TV episodes up until the pay-per-views during this era makes me like these pay-per-views a lot more than just watching them in a vacuum where none of this makes any fucking sense.
No. I mean, some of it still makes no sense even when you're watching the stuff. But
very true.
It makes a lot more sense if you're in the narrative. Whereas I feel like as you get into later, more recent years of WWE, the pay-per-views are just like they're self-contained. The stories that led to them don't really matter.
Yeah, anything with any kind of story has 25 promo packages attached to it. You don't need for me to like. You don't need to sit down and watch Raw for 3 weeks in order to watch Night of Champions 2016. It's just not a thing you need to do.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be able to follow it. I mean, I feel like in recent years we've increasingly reached the point in WWE where nothing happens between the major pay-per-views.
You are not wrong about that.
Really, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Rumble, and everything else is just filling time.
That is a topic for another show, but a very good point.
Yeah. So as far as kind of where we are in the narrative. We left off at Survivor Series 1998. That was where The Rock won the WWF title when he teamed up with Vince McMahon and the corporate team to screw Mankind. So coming out of that, The Rock is a red-hot heel, and he's the corporate WWF champion, and Mankind becomes a fully fledged babyface at that point.
It's actually a really great moment because this had been kind of a long time coming from Mankind. Like Mick Foley had started to get kind of like a grassroots support from fans all during like the past year. So it's really fun to see it all like culminate here.
Yeah. And then, I mean, and the comparison between where he is at Survivor Series and where he is on this night at the Rumble it's remarkable how fast he's risen in a couple months. He's
Absolutely
a mega star at this point.
And it took a lot of little touches. Like, thank God they changed his damn music. Like, I love the old school Mankind music, but it's just not gonna work at this point.
Do you remember like the dance remix of the Mankind song he was coming out to for a couple weeks?
Oh my God.
Yeah, just that's the music he comes out to the night he wins the title. He gets the classic like screeching car crash theme, the Raw after that. And thank God.
Yeah.
And that's a theme that's stuck for 20 years for good reason.
Yeah, it's just such great to see him like kind of coming like into himself, which is funny because his body's basically already falling apart at this point.
Yeah, he's destroyed himself physically, but he's more over than ever. Somewhat because of the residual overness of the crazy shit he's done to his body, but more than anything else, it's the character work he's doing.
Yeah, he said many times that it's kind of funny that it took killing himself to get him there, and then from here to the end of his career, it's basically all comedy. Like, he's not taking those bumps anymore.
Well, yeah, you remember in Kurt Angle's Hall of Fame speech when he talked about, I don't remember exactly how he phrased it. It was something like he wished he had taken more risks creatively rather than physically in his career.
That's a very good point. Like, that's how you get ahead.
Yeah.
Everybody who's ever drawn major money in this business took more risk creatively than physically. You have to still be there by the time you hit the finish line. If Mick Foley's body had let him wrestle for another 5 years, imagine how much more money he would have made.
I will say the only guy who took more risks creatively than physically might have been The Rock, because he's just about the only top guy who came out of wrestling physically unscathed.
Exactly. And now he's literally the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah.
Because he stretched himself. And like, that's just a great example. Now, The Rock also had every major advantage you can have. Like, the writers fucking loved him, and he came from a wrestling family, and he got over super fast. And like, there was a whole bunch of different things that led to The Rock uniquely being The Rock. But that's a template to use. And if you're a good character guy, and that's the risks that you take, you last way longer in the business than people who can do cool spots. Way longer. Fucking Santino Marella lasted like 15 years.
Yeah. And then ironically had to retire because he had a broken neck. I don't remember how that happened.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
So the night after Survivor Series, Austin, we kind of brought back the idea that he had, they'd mentioned a few weeks before that when he signed his new contract that he had a guaranteed title shot after Survivor Series. So he cashes in his title shot and challenges Rock in the main event of Raw that night. Austin would win that match, but by disqualification when the Undertaker came out and smashed a shovel in Austin's face.
As you do.
I kind of wish the shovel had become Undertaker's signature weapon.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense.
It metaphorically did when he was Biker Taker. He definitely used the shovel on DDP metaphorically.
And Canyon and a number of other people.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of wish the shovel had become like his equivalent of the Triple H sledgehammer.
It's so weird that more guys don't have like distinct weapons like that. Like,
Triple Sting's got the bat and Triple H has the sledgehammer. That's pretty much it.
To Triple H's credit, I don't remember how the sledgehammer gets started, but like, that's such a part of his character now.
The first time I remember him using it was in like May '99 when Rock and Undertaker had a casket match, and he locked Rock in the casket and smashed it with a sledgehammer.
It's just smart because
just by accident.
How many of the biggest pops of Triple H's career are him reaching for a fucking hammer?
A lot.
I mean, it's just
I mean, Sting and the baseball bat, same deal. Mick Foley and the barbed wire 2x4.
Yep, which Abyss sadly tried to steal.
Fuck.
Is everyone out there aware that Abyss tried to steal that and then realized it wasn't stupid enough, so he put spikes in it so that it would literally puncture the canvas when he laid it down?
No, I was not aware of that.
So he couldn't even hit people with it because it would kill them.
Yes.
So people just had to gently take bumps on the flat part.
Abyss, the worst wrestler of the 2000s.
Ooh, that's a big old take.
Stiff competition for that title.
That's a mighty man take right there.
On December 6th, the WWF presented a UK exclusive pay-per-view called Capital Carnage. Nothing really notable about that show other than the fact that Jim Ross suffered a Bell's palsy attack during the show and had to be taken off commentary. So he's not on commentary on this show, and he doesn't return full-time until after WrestleMania 15.
Let me ask you this. How do you think Michael Cole does filling in? Because he's clearly not ready.
I was really surprised watching this, how good I thought he was.
Yeah.
Like, there's moments where he's kind of awkward and wooden. Like, and I think he's always, it took him a long time, I think, to be able to, like, effectively show emotion on commentary.
It's kind of funny. I really feel like the heel Cole character, while I hated it, is what finally let him be himself on commentary.
Yeah. Heel Michael Cole, it was a bad idea, but he was great at it.
Yes.
Like, it's a bad idea to have your play-by-play announcer be a shithead, but like, he should have just become a manager, and he would have been awesome at that.
He was so fucking good. But
I absolutely love the feud between him and Lawler from WrestleMania 27. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, Cole spent most of his career getting shat on, and most of it is because of this right here.
Yeah.
he's thrust in way before he's ready, and he can't compare to Jim Ross, especially in his prime.
And then they put him in a feud with Jim Ross, where JR says something about like your skinny ass trying to replace me and kicks him in the nuts, and everyone cheers.
Poor fucking Michael Cole, just getting beat the hell up all the time.
Oh man!
Do you remember that one segment where like Steve Austin wasn't getting enough heat, so he just beat up Michael Cole for like 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was also when we found out Michael Cole was ripped when he got his shirt torn off.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, Michael Cole, get it.
Yeah.
But like, I really think he's doing a good job here. Like his call of the Mick Foley title win is a great call. Like it's some signature shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he does a great job in the I Quit match here, but it's because he's not acting. He's genuinely pleading for them to stop the match.
Yeah, like this is...
Yeah, we will get to that.
Jesus.
The December pay-per-view was Rock Bottom, which is one of my favorite, like, random one-off pay-per-views. I love the shithead corporate champion got the pay-per-view named after him, and the set was just giant pictures of him.
And I love hearing that it was a coincidence, like, because they do these like months and months and months and months in advance. So they didn't know that they were putting the title on Rock at the time when the Rock bought. But like to take advantage of it and be like, all right, so just put giant posters of the Rock everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, just a weird random one-off pay-per-view. Also, ironically, there was a second pay-per-view where there was a giant picture of the Rock as the set. And it was that Survivor Series where him and Cena teamed up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Miz and Truth. We know who the real stars are here.
Imagine like being like, man, this is the first main event on a pay-per-view of my entire career. Here we go. Oh, look, it's giant pictures of the other two guys.
I think we might be doing the job here. At that December pay-per-view, Mankind faced The Rock for the title. He won the match when Rock passed out in the mandible claw. It appeared that he had won the title, but Mr. McMahon intervened and declared that because The Rock didn't tap out or say the words, "I quit," he was still the WWF champion. And then the corporation kicked the shit out of Mankind. But perfect setup to the I Quit match there.
They're very lucky that Mankind got over the way he did as a babyface, because it bought them time to not just have this be Steve Austin's role to get his ass kicked by the corporation every single fucking night. Like it helped to keep Austin fresh longer than he probably would have.
Main event that night was Steve Austin versus The Undertaker in a buried alive match. Austin won after Kane interfered, and Austin drove in with a backhoe and poured dirt into the grave. Pretty entertaining finish.
Steve Austin's role as the man who can drive anything is one of the low-key best things about his character.
Dude worked in a warehouse. He knew how to drive a forklift.
It's just so good that he just literally...
They could put him behind the wheel of anything, and he's got it. He's a great wheel man.
And like so much of people trying to drive cars and vehicles in wrestling, it doesn't work.
Oh, no. It's like nobody else ever pulled this off. Goldberg couldn't even start his fucking car.
It was his car.
He couldn't get it started. Jesus.
Fucking Steve Austin's like, yeah, let me drive this cement truck. Boom, done.
That time Hogan couldn't start Undertaker's bike.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no. I don't know. It feels like they switched vehicle guys in the early 2000s, and like the new guy was an idiot.
I think you're probably right.
That's probably what happened.
Hogan couldn't start the ambulance turn over the Rock, even though it was a pre-tape, so that was clearly their best take of him trying to do it.
Fuck. I don't remember that.
It's really awkward the way he does it. It makes it pretty clear that he tried like 20 times.
So the stipulation of the Buried Alive match was Austin had to win to get a spot in the Royal Rumble. So because he won the match, he won a spot in the Rumble. Then they did a segment where Vince and Shane randomly drew Austin's spot, and he drew number one.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they did it twice, and he drew number one both times, just because they had to make sure we were in on the fact that it was crooked.
Now, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but we're going to do another show that is about an evil corporate entity forcing someone to no, actually, we're not doing that one this time, right? Like the one with Reigns is obviously the corollary you can draw because the exact same template for that one.
Yeah.
This is a much better setup to have Austin just be so fucking. They show a video on this show of just Austin being like, I got it in writing that I get a title shot. He loses. I got it in writing that I get a title shot. He loses. I got it in writing that I'm in the Rumble.
And over.
You're number one.
Yeah. McMahon declared that Austin had no chance in hell to win the Royal Rumble.
And a catchphrase is born.
To boot, he put the $100,000 bounty on Austin. So this show is, of course, the debut of the McMahon theme, but it's not his music yet. It's just the music for the pay-per-view. He starts using it the night after this. And he still is to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I just hearing that on this show, it's amazing. Vince had gone this long without music. He's still coming out to Silence, like all the way in 1999.
That's so weird because it's probably one of like the 5 or 10 best themes of all time.
Yeah, and like most iconic, like longest running that I think they've literally never tweaked or tampered with. Like
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't make it better.
Can't imagine him coming out to anything else.
It's just so, and like it's just so funny that everybody has themes like that. Like Shane McMahon, I don't know if he came out to like a licensed song. So when he comes out on this show, like it's to something weird, but he comes out to music on this show that like is literally defies any sort of rational thought. It's the weirdest fucking music I've ever heard.
Yeah. I really always enjoy on these shows when you get those little like weird bridge themes that they used for a few weeks until they found something real for them to use.
Like when Rock was coming out to Biggie for like 1 week.
Yes, dude, how did that not last?
That's the best theme ever.
Oh my God, he used it like once.
Like somebody must have like sued from the Biggie estate or something like that.
That's the thing is like, yeah, they music like that gets edited off these shows on the network because they don't want. I think they got sued over Rick Rude's original theme, which is why it's dubbed over now. But yeah, like they're cautious about songs that are such blatant ripoffs.
But The Rock's theme, as we know it now, is basically just a major distortion of
the Nation theme.
Yeah, but like, God, that one moment where they like take the Nation theme and just kind of grow it into a Biggie song, and like, oh, that should have been the theme, man. He could have kept that forever.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think that was like on a Raw in December '98 for a match against Al Snow. I think he literally just used it the one time,
and it's still on the network if you go and watch it now. That's the weird thing.
So McMahon announced that he himself would also be in the Royal Rumble and that he would enter the match number 30. But then WWF Commissioner Shawn Michaels, who we haven't actually talked about Michaels being commissioner at all, but he debuted as commissioner in December as part of the corporation. And it was teased he was with DX, but then he turns on DX, which I thought made total sense as a character beat. You know, Triple H kicked him out of DX after WrestleMania. It makes all the sense in the world. He's not going to be cool with them at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's a heel for a few weeks, but then he ends up turning face, and then by this point, he's gone. Like, he's disappeared.
I kind of love Shawn Michaels, the commissioner. Like, it's something that people don't like talk about a whole lot. But like, because he only ever showed up like once every 3 months.
Very much, but he had the gravitas to pull it off. Like the sheriff.
Every time he would show up, something big would happen. So like, whenever you'd hear that music and he would come out, it would be like a big fucking deal. Yeah. So like, I kind of like having a commissioner like that. Like, you don't see him all the time, but when he shows up, I'm changing everything.
Yeah. So he overruled Vince and said that Vince will instead enter number 2. So we're guaranteed at least 2 minutes of Vince and Austin.
Now, let's just go ahead and talk about this now. Is this a really bad idea to have Vince come in and to just basically have the Austin McMahon match in the Royal Rumble?
I think there's a couple things that are wrong here. I think this probably hurt St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yeah.
Which they were counting on to draw a mega buy rate, and it didn't. Part of that was probably that people already got to see Austin kick the shit out of Vince here in the Rumble.
Yeah, and it's not like Vince was any kind of threat to Austin either.
No.
Like they were kind of building him up. So maybe if you build him up before St. Valentine's Day Massacre and you haven't really seen him in the ring, you might believe he can pose a threat. But Austin just relentlessly beats his ass here.
Well, I also think if Vince is going to be in the Rumble, he probably should come in number 30. And then you have the anticipation of, can Austin get to Vince? Like, can he, he's got to fight his way through all of Vince's goons, and he can throw out all the corporate guys. And then it comes to, like, Vince can enter number 30, but he refuses to get in the ring, and he goes on the commentary table, and then Austin clears out the ring and Vince has to, which is what they do, but it's after Austin has already kicked the shit out of him and had to go to the hospital and come back and all this other silliness in the match.
Yeah, like the last 5 guys in the Royal Rumble before Vince could have all just been the corporation. Like he could have rigged it that way. That would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually great. Is like Austin comes in number 25 and like 26 through 29 before Vince are all the corporate guys.
Yeah. And then that's exactly just what it is. Austin has to beat the whole corporation to get it. There are a lot of different ways you could have gone with this. The way they went was basically just some fucking gaga.
Yeah, we will get there. They did hilarious training, like Rocky-style montages of Shane training Vince for the match. These are so good. These are brilliant.
Shane McMahon in this era is a genius.
Oh my God.
It's just like the ultimate hype man.
Let's go, Vin Man! Let's go, Vinnie Mac!
Just fucking chasing the chicken in the snow.
Yeah, running behind the limo, punching the meat carcasses.
Just doing sit-ups like, I hate Austin.
I hate Austin. I hate Austin. Beating up Tom Pritchard and like the masked jobbers in the warehouse.
Yep.
Nailing Tom Pritchard with the stunner. Yeah, just brilliant, hilarious stuff. But Vince also tried to pull some shenanigans to get himself a later entry. He announced on Raw they would hold a corporate Royal Rumble for the number 30 spot. And it's contested between DX and the corporation. So you've got like, Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Boss Man, Shamrock, Test, all in there. And then Vince comes out last. And Vince appears to have won after he sneaks up on like Triple H and Boss Man and eliminates them both. But then it's revealed there's one more entrant. It's Chyna. She comes out, tosses Vince, and Chyna wins the number 30 spot in the Rumble. Huge pop, awesome moment.
And this is going to be one of the hundreds of times that we've mentioned on this podcast that they should have fucking done more with Chyna.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can, when she gets in the ring here, you can tell, like, nobody wants to work with her.
Yeah. Like, if this had been now, she would have eliminated like 10 guys. Right?
Oh God, this is going to happen with Ronda Rousey in the next couple of years. She's going to enter the men's Rumble.
And it should happen. It's awesome.
Yeah. Running theme of our podcast, intergender wrestling is coming.
I say, it's funny how we seem to like cover the same ground often enough that we've
over
really
and fucking theme. Over.
Yeah.
Dude, it was not just a few weeks ago Becky Lynch called out John Cena. Like, they're clearly getting there.
And John Cena took her seriously as an opponent, man.
Yeah.
Man.
It's coming. Yeah. WrestleMania 36. John Cena versus Ronda Rousey.
Don't even fucking don't tease me like that, man. I can't deal with it.
So Chyna would be the first woman to enter the Royal Rumble. To date, I think 3 women have entered the Royal Rumble. Chyna, Beth Phoenix, and Karma.
Yeah, I think so.
With the 3 I remember. I might be forgetting somebody.
And Karma's entrance in the Rumble is another one.
Oh, that was great.
When it's just like Michael Cole in there by himself.
And sadly, I believe her last WWE appearance.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. The January 4th, 1999 Raw was historic. This was taped December 29th, 1998. And of course, this is the one where Mankind beats The Rock in the main event to win the WWF Championship. So to set the stage, they've got a taped Raw that's going to have to go head-to-head with Nitro, which is promoting Goldberg versus Nash in the Starrcade rematch, their main event. And, I'd forgotten this, the first BCS National Championship game, the Fiesta Bowl between Tennessee and Florida State. Stiff competition, so they book one of the biggest things they can do is Mankind wins the title.
I wonder if they realized what a big deal it would actually be. If they just thought that this was going to be like, hey, this is going to be a good moment, this will pop a decent rating. I don't know if they thought that this would be like one of the defining moments of the era.
No, I don't know if they knew how big Foley had gotten at this point.
Yeah, I don't think until this night that anybody knew.
No, I have a distinct memory of this being covered in my local newspaper that Mick Foley had won the WWF title.
Wow.
It may have only been because there was going to be a WWF house show in my hometown right around that time. So maybe they were doing a little wrestling coverage, but I'm pretty sure this was just like an AP article that they picked up. So like the Associated Press covered the fact that Mick Foley had won the WWF title.
It's one of those things that seemed so much bigger than it probably in context really was, because guys like that didn't win the title. Guys like that had never won the title.
No, you think of all the people at that point who would, like, you know, Ted DiBiase, Rick Rude, Razor Ramon, like tons of big stars had never been the WWF champion. This is the beginning of like everybody gets their hands on the belt.
And literally, like, I think you could probably say that nobody had ever won the title in WWE to this point being like a total goddamn weirdo. Like everybody was like a top guy.
Yeah.
Like, it just really hadn't happened. Like the Undertaker's the weirdest one, but he's like obviously a star on a different level.
Maybe Backlund when he got in '94, but he was a heel and it lasted 2 days.
Yeah. Like it was just for the top guy and the people he was feuding with. Yeah. And then Mick Foley gets it. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the best title win ever. Like, just, you know, kind of, if you were just going to pick the first thing that comes into your head, it's probably going to be this.
Yeah, certainly the biggest reaction to a title win ever. Like, this is arguably, it's possible that there are some people out there who have never seen this segment, have never heard the pop for this.
I have a hard time believing they're listening to this podcast, but
right. This is the biggest pop in wrestling history.
Oh, man. Well, which one? Which is the bigger pop? Is the bigger pop when Austin's music hits or when Foley actually wins?
I think the biggest pop is when Austin's music hits, but it just doesn't die down after that.
So to set the stage, Austin and Rock, Foley and Rock fighting in the ring. At ringside, you've got the Corporation and DX. You've really got just about all the biggest stars in the company in one set piece.
And part of this is that DX has adopted Mick Foley.
Yes.
So finally he has support.
He has, friends. So they're fighting. Referee gets knocked down. Austin's music hits. Now, Austin had not been on Raw the previous night, the Monday, and he has not been on this Raw to this point. This is his first appearance of the night. The crowd explodes. Like, maybe genuinely the biggest pop of all time for this.
Yeah. And like
Austin comes down, nails Rock with a chair, knocks the shit out of him with a chair shot, and puts Foley on top for the pin.
Like, this is the first time I've ever done this, but I'm going to paint a word picture about something that's not actually on the show that we're covering.
It deserves it.
Okay, so here's the scene. The Corporation and DX are just like, they haven't started fighting yet, but the tension's been building for the entire match. Austin and Rock and Mankind are in the ring, and they're fighting and they're fighting and they're fighting. And I don't remember. I think, is it Ken Shamrock gets in the ring and like pulls the ref out, or
Shamrock definitely pulls the ref out. Yeah, Mankind's got the pin and Shamrock drags the ref out of the ring.
And then Billy Gunn fucking like suicide dives Ken Shamrock, and it's on. And then DX and the Corporation are just throwing hands at ringside. Meanwhile, Mankind and The Rock are just down in the middle of the ring. The crowd is buzzing like crazy. Then the glass shatters.
Yeah.
And that moment is probably the best moment in the history of wrestling. And I don't care about this era the way that so many people do. But like this, like you don't even have to know any of the people involved to feel how special this moment is.
It's perfect.
Austin comes down. He comes storming down. He has a chair, or he picks up the chair in the ring, smashes The Rock with it, and crucially, drags Mick on The Rock to make sure he wins the title.
Yeah.
Because A, he hates The Rock. B, he hates Vince. But C, Austin kind of likes Mick Foley, and that's been a for years.
Yeah, they were tag champions back in '97.
This is the closest thing to an act of friendship Steve Austin has ever performed in his entire career. And that makes this moment even more special.
Yeah. And then cut to Vince McMahon's just agonized face at ringside.
And then it's just like Austin flips him off, throws his hat at him as McMahon is held back and just melts down screaming, "I hate you! I hate you!"
It's brilliant. Awesome stuff. And then there's like another 5 minutes after this of like the celebration and Foley's running around ringside with the belt. Road Dogg goes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your new WWF champion. He gets on the mic, dedicates the win to his kids, like just total babyface shit.
Daddy-O did it. What? They totally throw kayfabe in the gutter for this. Because literally the second he wins it, Michael Cole is just like, Mick Foley used to sleep on the floor of Motel 6s.
Yeah. Cole nails that. I mean, it sounds like he's reading a script, but like for an inexperienced announcer, like scripting this kind of moment is a good idea. Also, they did the commentary live. I remember that they definitely did the commentary live on the taped shows in this era.
Yeah. Or just the amount.
I'm sure they pre-scripted what he was going to say, or he just had enough time to think about it to know exactly what he wanted to say.
Yeah. So it has a lot more information in it. Like it's not the way Jim Ross would have done it per se, but this is like the quintessential Michael Cole call.
Yeah.
And it's just like he nails every point of like Mick Foley is so made as a star after this night. Like I can't remember the last time a title win got this much just attention and love given to it,
Yeah. Interestingly, they published that this was they reported this on the website that this was going to happen. Like first time that kind of became, I feel like the precedent is if there was a big title change on a taped show, they would acknowledge it kind of as soon as it happened on the website. Mm-hmm. I think it's just another case of like they're trying to promote it. They're trying to pop the big rating. So let's let everybody know something huge is going to happen.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Nitro, of course, serves up the garbage finger poke of doom that night. And this is really the end of the Monday Night Wars. Like WCW is never a serious threat to the WWF again after this.
Absolutely.
Also the night of the infamous butts in the seats moment as Eric Bischoff orders Schiavone to give away the results from Raw and shit on Foley. Pretty damn stupid. Hundreds of thousands of people changed the channel when that happened because they all wanted to see the awesome thing they just found out was going to happen.
And that's been made so much of, and I feel bad for how much shit Tony Schiavone got for his whole life. It's not his
doing what he was told.
But literally, the bigger problem isn't that they switched over, because there were a number of times during the Monday Night Wars that people would en masse switch over to one thing that seemed like it was going to be cool, and then they switched back. The problem is 100,000 people switch over and see the coolest thing in the history of wrestling. Why are you going to switch back?
Yeah.
Even if you've never watched WWE before, you're like, oh, hey, let me just check out this title change. And you see that, you're a WWF fan now. That's just how that works.
And also Tennessee beat Florida State 23-16 to win the national championship. Good game.
Is that Peyton Manning?
No, this is the year after Peyton Manning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another
T.
one
Martin.
For broadcast.
Yeah. So yeah, Raw destroyed Nitro in the ratings. They did a 5.7 to Nitro's 4.9. Like I said, at that point, if Nitro couldn't beat them with a live show against a tape show and a Starrcade rematch promoted, what were they going to do? How could they win?
Right.
And they never would again. So the next week, Rock demands a rematch. Mankind refused. It's a funny promo where Rock's just like, he keeps like adding more stipulations. He's like, it'll be a no disqualification match, no count out, no members of the corporate team at ringside. And like, finally, Mankind demands an I Quit match and agrees to have that for Rock's rematch. I don't know why Mankind is allowed to just refuse. It's very confusing. I guess Shawn Michaels is the matchmaker, is kind of what we're getting at. Vince doesn't have the power to make matches.
Yeah.
Something.
And like the way that they build to this match is amazing. Because the idea being that like Mick Foley won't quit. Like you couldn't possibly hurt him enough to make him quit. And
Now, I do think it would have drawn better if Mankind had been challenging.
Agreed.
Because if Mankind is challenging in an I Quit match, you're saying to yourself, well, shit, Foley's going to win the belt because he'll never, ever quit.
Yeah, you leverage The Rock into a match The Rock can't win. It's not possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go back to Shawn Michaels quickly. Like Shawn, has a falling out with the corporation, joins up with DX, and then he's written out like a week after that when he gets beaten up. It's not shown that the corporation did it, but it's like obvious that they did. So we find Shawn like out in the parking lot, like bloodied and beaten, and he's written off because he's having back surgery. Once again, at this point, I was saying to myself, all right, Shawn's going to work WrestleMania. Like they're setting it up. It's going to happen. I was just waiting for Shawn Michaels to come back and wrestle in this era. It was all I wanted.
Bad, Steve.
Yeah, every time something would happen, I'd be like, yep, that's it. Shawn's coming back now. I knew it would be true eventually.
It just took another 3 years.
Yeah. Also going on, the Undertaker's forming the Ministry. First, Farouk and Bradshaw joined him as his acolytes, and then they kidnapped Dennis Knight from the Godwins, locked him and tortured him in a sex dungeon, and then Undertaker performed a human sacrifice on Raw, where he spoke in tongues, cut his wrist, made Dennis Knight drink his blood, and renamed him Midian. Oh boy, we're sacrificing motherfuckers now.
This is something different. You know what I mean?
This is weird. It's interesting. It's not good, really, but it's interesting. It goes on forever. Like, the segment goes on way too long. Undertaker talks and talks and talks. Like, could have been half the time it was, but I don't know what we're doing here. Like,
yeah. And part of the problem for me has always been like, I know that this is a controversial opinion, but I don't think The Undertaker's a very good promo. And I think part of it is just because he thinks saying super cryptic shit is what his character is supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it results in a lot of like 15-minute promos where he says nothing. Like the worst kind of Bray Wyatt promo.
The good Undertaker promos were where he would like talk like a person and be a badass. Because actually, the other thing is like the Undertaker had a great wit and like had some great clapbacks in his career, but like, the dead man character is not really suited for that.
Yeah. Anytime the bad American Badass would poke through and you get like real Undertaker was the best.
Why don't you say, what if you sleep with your sister?
Or like that promo he cut about like, Vince, I've been killing your monsters for years and now it's time to get mine.
Remember when I said Shawn was better than you? He is. Yeah, so the other thing is Midian they were supposed to do some kind of special effect where Midian levitated, but they either cut it or the thing malfunctioned. But no one told Michael Cole because on commentary he's like, "Oh my God, King, he's levitating," when he's clearly not. Yeah,
this makes him look like a dork. Like, no, he's not. Shut up.
No, he's not, you idiot.
Maybe if this had been with somebody different than like Midian, it would have worked better. But like, nobody gives a shit about Midian.
I mean, like, okay, Farouk and Bradshaw are good henchmen, but like, fucking Midian is like literally the worst person on the roster.
Yes.
And then like they had Mabel next. I don't know. At least Mabel's gigantic, but like,
you never take him seriously during.
Take her in a bunch of jabronis, like. maybe not the best look. I don't
And then
know.
they add the Brood to it just to get some people in there, and then
Yeah,
they
the Brood
immediately
are actually good. They're in there for like a week.
yeah, like the Brood kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean they're gothic characters, like sure,
yeah, why
but
not?
they just rush everything. Yeah, like the Brood are in there for like a couple weeks, and they have to split them off. Like they have to constantly break these factions up.
The big problem, though, is that Midian and Viscera are obviously terrible. There's not a lot of talent on this roster, man.
No, it gets exposed in the Rumble here when they have to find a way to get 30 guys in there.
And we're talking about like the corporation and the ministry are two giant ass stables. There's just not enough talent to fill these stables up.
No, I mean, WCW is doing 60-man battle royals, and like 50 of the guys are good. Like,
Yeah.
they've got, it's just like they've got everybody at this point. Like WWF, yeah, they got some mega stars, and then like it gets real thin once you get into the mid card.
The fact that they're winning in the ratings, like putting some of these guys on TV for 20 minutes a night is fucking nuts.
Oh, and some other infamously terrible angles, like the Terry Runnels miscarriage and Mark Henry's affair with Sammy, the transgender woman.
Jesus Christ.
Which features the immortal line, "Sweet Jesus, you've got a penis."
This is all born of Vince Russo's obsession, and in some ways it's very positive, with giving everyone on the card a storyline. Everyone has to have something going on, which in theory is a beautiful idea for a writer to have. In practice, it means that if he doesn't have an idea for you, he's slapping whatever shit that pops into his head onto you. And
how is a miscarriage supposed to draw money?
He said that he would just sit in the back and watch Jerry Springer and just put that shit on screen.
And then they do another miscarriage a couple years later with Kane and Snitsky after he's gone. Somehow they go back to that. Yeah, the punting the baby.
The punting of the baby might be the most unintentionally funny segment in the history of wrestling. And hopefully one day we can come back to that in a productive way. Because, that's one of the most bizarre storylines in wrestling history, is that whole little period of like Kane's rape baby with Lita. Snitsky kills it and then punts a fake baby. It wasn't
my fault.
Holy shit. That's a thing that happened, guys.
And now it's time for conspiracy time with Law and Cush. This was definitely them trying to get Mark Henry to quit, right?
Because he was on his completely ridiculous contract? Yes. I think that it was.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I gotta say, it's logical. You don't want to pay the guy. The only way to get him to not pay him is to get him to quit.
I feel like
what are you gonna do?
I feel like on some level that may have been the case, and especially was the case when they were doing like the Mark Henry super fat and needs to lose weight storyline.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like this is just a natural extension. I say natural extension, it's not, but for Vince Russo, because Mark Henry going after Chyna does make sense. And that's kind of storyline progression that makes sense. The whole thing with this, that's just Vince Russo's take on it. Like, what a funny revenge for a player as he winds up with, oh, she's got a penis. That's just what Vince Russo thinks is funny.
I actually think Mark Henry and Chyna would have been a great couple.
There's a brief period. It's basically just the Eddie Guerrero relationship, right? Where she's with a scumbag and he's no good. But she wasn't ready to be a romantic lead at that point.
No.
She kills it later though. Her and Eddie, she kills it every night with that shit.
Yeah. So to get into the show, it's January 24th, 1999. We're at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. Sellout crowd, 14,816, 13,597 paid for a $630,000 gate and $137,000 in merchandise sales. Monster numbers across the board.
That'll work. God damn.
WrestleMania 12, I believe, was also in the Anaheim Pond. Pretty sure this is a bigger gate than they drew for that WrestleMania.
I'm not surprised. That's one of the worst WrestleManias ever.
This one does 650,000 pay-per-view buys, which is
Jesus.
way up from the 350,000 they did the previous year. And when they did 350 the previous year, that was a huge success, and they nearly doubled it here.
Is this the biggest Royal Rumble? Like, does it get higher after this?
I don't think so. I think this is number one.
Because it's so funny because, like, Rock and Mankind and McMahon versus Austin in the Rumble are obviously the big draws. And I guess what they should have realized is, like, this is the buy rate that they thought they were going to get at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Like, this was bought by people thinking they were going to get Austin McMahon, and they did.
Yeah.
But like, I think this is that buy rate.
Probably. Yeah. I think that helps explain why St. Valentine's Day Massacre did, disappointing business.
Yeah, if you add like the extra 200,000 buys to St. Valentine's Day Massacre, suddenly it's not a disappointment.
Yeah. In the dark match, Christian defeated Jeff Hardy. And then 2 matches on Heat. First, Bob Holly and Scorpio defeated Too Much. And then it was announced Mankind would have to have a warm-up match against a mystery opponent who turned out to be the returning Mabel. And Mankind won that match by disqualification in 5 minutes.
And imagine you're Mabel and you hear like, hey, you're going to get to work with the world champion. You're going to lose to him on Heat in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also on Heat, Austin tried to drive his truck into the parking lot. He was turned away by the parking attendant who said only limos were allowed in the VIP lot. So Austin returned with a monster truck limo and ran over some cars in the parking lot. These heats are pretty entertaining. Like these pre-pay-per-view heats, they did some fun stuff.
It's amazing, like the effort they're putting into Heat at this point. Like, 2 years later, like they're not even fucking paying attention to what goes on that show.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Heat is the B show. It's their secondary show. It's the lead into Raw, and here it's the lead into pay-per-views. And they viewed it as an opportunity to convince people to buy the show at the last minute. And why not? This one drew a big rating. This one drew like a 4.5 or something like that.
God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a lot of fun. Like, I really always loved watching Sunday Night Heat before the pay-per-views. Just like, a little bit of hype while like you get your popcorn ready and all of that shit. It's a good idea.
But it's definitely better than the kickoff shows they do today, but I can't really put my finger on why. It's just because there would be actual storylines on Heat here, where you never get storylines on the kickoff shows.
The problem with the kickoff shows has always been to me that they treat it like they would like it's the same as like when a UFC show is about to happen and they do that kickoff show, but there's nothing to really talk about because wrestling's fake. So just like, I think Cena's going to win tonight. All right, that's fine. But was he booked to win tonight? Because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I find the NXT kickoff shows are a lot better. And I don't know if it's just because I usually go into the NXT shows without really knowing like what the storylines are, and it's really helpful to learn about them.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's just like NXT's presentation lends itself better to that kind of show.
Well, they also do like they're a way better job with like interviews and stuff like that. Like they know their product a lot better than the main roster does.
Yeah. I don't know how NXT, 2 little things they managed to do. The shots of people arriving at the arena, and then there is no better debut in wrestling than sitting in the crowd in an NXT show.
How amazing is it that they've made the most distinguished debut in wrestling? Hey, look, it's a guy.
Yeah, like just that, and like you always look forward to it because there's always somebody in the crowd at these takeovers you get to pop for.
Yeah, and it's cool that they like they'll always show for the takeovers like, hey, look, Finn Balor's down here. Watch, it's just former NXT guys who made it big,
and like then the new guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like here's the big star, here's the future star. Like they're so smart about that shit.
Yeah. When we get into the show itself, the opening video package explains why Steve Austin has no chance in hell to win the Royal Rumble tonight. And then Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler welcome us to the show. Our opening match is the Big Boss Man against the Road Dogg. Road Dogg is the reigning hardcore champion, having won the title from Big Boss Man on Raw, but the belt isn't on the line here, and it's a regular shitty ass match.
This is
Oh
just
boy, what did you expect from these two? If it had been a hardcore match, it might have been decent, but
and like
good
it's not.
restraint not to do a hardcore match on the same show as an I Quit match. I
I
guess.
mean, but like most of the hardcore stuff is like comedy hardcore stuff, which would have made it more fun.
Yeah.
Whereas like the I Quit match is obviously a very different kind of match. I don't know. Neither one of these guys is great in just like a normal singles match.
No.
And they get like 12 fucking minutes.
They're really stretching. They could have had an okay 5-minute match. I mean, as always, got to note how over Road Dogg is.
I mean, Road Dogg's super over. The promo he cuts, great. Big Boss Man is like the greatest bodyguard character of all time.
A lot of heat. Yeah.
I love it, Boss Man here. So like this is like a great 5-minute Raw match. This is trash here.
Yeah, they get 12 here. Boss Man goes over clean with the Boss Man Slam. A totally forgettable match.
Yep.
Then, for the Intercontinental Championship, we've got Ken Shamrock defending against sex offender Billy Gunn. This feud begins when Billy Gunn exposed himself to Ken Shamrock's sister, Ryan, who was sitting in the crowd ringside for Raw. So long before NXT was the most over debut, Ken Shamrock's fake sister was sitting in the crowd at Raw to make her debut.
When you say expose yourself, I really feel like we should be specific. He shows his ass to her.
Yes.
Because there's something about Billy Gunn that never really goes away, where he's obsessed with showing his ass to people.
Yes. Yes, he is.
I've never understood that part of that character. It winds up becoming the entirety of his character when he's Mr. Ass.
Mr. Ass.
I feel like Vince saw him in like the showers one time and was like, look at the ass.
Look at that ass.
You're gonna show it to the crowd every night.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's the same thing with Bobby Lashley now, where they're just like, you know what's gonna be great? Show him your ass.
Oh, so Ryan Shamrock. We had always heard she was a stripper. That is apparently not true.
No,
she is the girlfriend of a strip club DJ. Totally different.
Yeah.
It is, however, true that she ended up dating her kayfabe brother, Ken Shamrock.
Gosh, yeah.
That's weird.
How easy is that, man? If you're known primarily for being somebody's sibling, it's got to be fun. It's not like this is the only time that that's ever happened. It happens on TV and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It's just super fucking weird, though.
Oh, Bill Watts would have fired them both for that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Can't be screwing your kayfabe sister.
I'll get Bill Watts kicking down the hotel room door like, hey!
This is a family show.
Sister.
Oh, man. But yeah, Ken Shamrock, understandably mad that Billy Gunn exposed his posterior to his sister.
I mean,
should have been put on the sex offender registry for that.
I just want to know, like, Ryan Shamrock is not part of the wrestling business really at this point when she's brought in. So, like, she doesn't really know what she's in for.
Jesus.
So, like,
yeah.
I imagine that the stage direction was, okay, you're going to be sitting in the crowd, and then Billy Gunn's going to show you his naked ass, and you need to act so turned on.
Bro,
it's like you can't yourself.
He's going to show you his bum, and you're going to like it.
Not just like it. You're going to want to, like, go past your brother's wishes in order to get some of that ass.
Ryan Shamrock's actually around for several months. Like, when she ends up managing the Gold Dust and Blue Meanie in some kind of really weird, like, poly harem.
That was weird. And then she's in PMS, right? Or is that first?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
She gets sacrificed by the Undertaker.
Sure.
Just, yeah, again, imagine being her. Like, they call, like, you get a call that, oh, you're going to do wrestling. You're just going to be there in the crowd. It's just going to be one time. And then a couple months after that, you're like hanging from a cymbal at the top of an arena.
That happened to a lot of people during this time, too.
Yeah. So this is another match that's really longer than it needs to be, but like just a lot of time to fill here. Shamrock ends up winning with the ankle lock in 15 minutes. Decent match, but like I don't need to see a 15-minute Billy Gunn match.
Yeah, this is during the time where they just keep stretching how long Billy Gunn can work, even though he's never had a good match over 12 minutes in his life. Like, it's
he's got asthma. Like, that's why he's a great tag wrestler. He needs time to catch his breath.
It's just literally a thing. Like, his finishing runs on his singles matches just aren't that great for that reason. It's not his fault.
And then our shitty undercard continues as our next match is X-Pac defending the European title against Gangrel in what I guess is the biggest match of Gangrel's career. This might have been his only pay-per-view singles match.
I gotta say, like, listening to other people from this era talk about Gangrel is kind of a bummer because they all seem to be of the opinion. Like, I've heard like other wrestlers be like, yeah, that Gangrel had a great gimmick. Too bad he fucking sucked.
Like, great entrance.
Yeah, he's really, you don't get the sense watching his matches that he's really bad, but like when you hear like X-Pac and the other ones talk about him, he was really bad.
It feels like this was him getting the X-Pac test and he failed it.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
the X-Pac test is the most important test to pass in all of WWE for like 10 years.
You can't have a good match with X-Pac. You suck, is the rule.
I mean, fucking Shane had a great match with X-Pac. He wasn't even a wrestler at that point.
Yeah, the only real highlight here is early in the match, X-Pac hits a crossbody and Gangrel rolls through, and Teddy Long counts it as a 3. But the match just keeps going. And then they replay it for some reason.
Teddy Long is low-key one of the worst referees of all time, and we just give him a pass on that.
Good that he moved up. It's amazing he got promoted to GM. I guess he was a manager in between.
Yeah, he did the Rodney Mack, man.
Rodney Mack, White Boy Challenge.
White Boy Challenge. Bring
Goldberg
that back.
answering the White Boy Challenge was like one of the only good Goldberg moments in WWE.
What a fucking
it was a perfect build. Yeah. We need the Bobby Lashley White Boy Challenge.
Dude, that would be great.
Money.
In my mind.
X-Pac wins with an X Factor out of nowhere in 6 minutes. Whatever.
Fine.
We get a backstage promo from DX where they're all talking about how they're not friends in the Rumble tonight. It's every man for himself. Chyna says it's every woman for herself too. They want the money. They want to go to WrestleMania. X-Pac shows up and tries to talk, but he's so out of breath you can't understand him.
Literally, he's like, hey, they're starting a promo and you're still in the ring. Oh, shit. And
you got to hustle. Yeah, how is he that gassed after a 5-minute match?
He spent all of it carrying Gangrel on his back.
Carrying Gangrel's worthless ass. And then somehow this undercard gets even worse because the next match is Sable versus Luna strap match. All right, big question. Do you remember this storyline? Why doesn't Shane like Sable?
It was because Vince had been trying to make her part of the corporation and she wouldn't have it.
Okay.
So then Shane became obsessed with like getting revenge for his dad.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
This just got dropped after this, didn't it, though?
Yeah, they just remember this. She's heel by like a couple months later, right?
And she's a heel at WrestleMania because she ends up feuding with Tori instead.
Yeah. It's like they're going to turn her heel. Like, she is not over anymore. It's over.
Yeah, they've killed it.
Done.
Dude, what a fuck up.
Yeah, there's no reaction here. SummerSlam the year before, she could have main evented the shit.
Yeah, and now
she's nobody.
So they did a fun shout out where on Raw they had Sable defend her title against the Spider Lady, which is the character Moolah played in the Wendy Richter Screwjob.
Yeah, so the implication being, Spider Lady's back to screw you out of that belt.
Yeah. It was revealed to be Luna, but Luna did not win the belt, which she probably should have because they probably should have just gotten this thing off Sable at this point.
It's also worth mentioning that like Vince hates Sable at this point. She is a total pain in his ass.
Yeah.
So it would not have been out of the question for him to Spider later. Imagine
do the real true job.
Fucking shoots on Sable on Raw.
You think she could have taken her?
I think yes.
I think Moolah, even at like 60 or whatever she was here, could have handled her.
Up until the day she died, yes.
Yeah. Shane is on commentary here, ripping on Sable. Sable gets some pretty stiff strap shots on Luna. And then Tori, who is unnamed, but the kind of Sable super fan who's been on TV a few times at this point, interferes and helps Sable retain in about 5 minutes.
Now, I like that storyline. It's sort of a fun storyline to do. Having Sable turn heel in the baby face.
Yeah, that is rather uncomfortable.
Because this is going to work with Mickie James.
Yeah.
Because they do it correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, not this women's division is a disaster.
I mean, there isn't one.
No.
It's just fucking Sable and whoever they bring in to do the job for her. And then Nicole Bass is going to come in.
Oh, fuck.
It's just a shit show.
In the back, we see Shamrock, Bossman, and Test plotting. But we don't hear what they're saying. Then we've got the I Quit match for the WWF Championship as Mankind defends against The Rock. Mankind dominates early, gets Rock in the Socko Claw. Rock refuses to quit. They fight into the crowd. Rock puts the ring bell up against Mankind's head and rings it. Brutal stuff there. Going to make him go deaf for in his one good ear.
Yeah.
He tries to rock bottom them through the announce table, but the table collapses under both of their weight. This is the biggest bump The Rock takes in this match.
It's really true.
It's actually, could have gotten hurt here. Could have, jammed your knee on the concrete.
And this is part of The Rock's genius. And this is one of the reasons why The Rock is basically untouchable in any match. Like, The Rock's botched many times. Everybody does. But you never remember a single Rock botch. Because, like, the table breaks, he grabs the microphone, just instantly starts talking shit. Boom. So you forget all about it.
This reminds me of a promo The Rock did on the way into the show where he said he was going to whip Mankind's ass all the way down the line. English announce table, Spanish announce table, French announce table, Ho Chi Minh Chow Chinese announce table.
Yeah.
They fight up the aisle to the entryway. Mankind hits Rock with a ladder. Mankind tries to drop an elbow on Rock, but Rock moves and Mankind lands on the ladder. That's like the 10th biggest bump Mick Foley takes in this match.
Mick Foley, when you watch wrestling now and you go back and watch a Mick Foley match, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? This is crazy. This is just shit that he did. The last man standing match that they have has most of these same bumps in it until we get to the end. So, it's pretty normal, including the one where, The Rock throws the steps from inside the ring.
Oh, God.
On the floor, which is just disgusting.
Yeah. They climb up the ladder into the crowd. Rock is trying to get away from Mankind. They then fight, up in the crowd, and Mankind gets knocked, off the kind of balcony of the crowd down onto a fake generator that sparks fly out of when he hits it. And then the lights in the arena cut out because the arena's lost power. Oh, that was a great spot.
It's a great spot. It's the maximum amount of dangerous. Ooh and ah without actually hurting Mick very much.
Yeah. They should have done more stuff like that.
Of course, it's not it bothers me how I know that Mick Foley's entire career is predicated on him taking a shitload of punishment, but The Rock could have taken any bump here. He could have taken. They could have taken this bump together. Anything,
Could have taken the Cactus Jack elbow drop through the announce table, something. But Rock barely gets touched here.
Just nothing happens to him, and it just. When added to what happens later, it just makes it even worse.
Well, it's happening right now. They go back to the ring. Rock handcuffs Mankind's hands behind his back. Initially, Mankind actually manages to get offense with a low blow and some kicks and a bite, and then a knee drop.
Crazy during this period. Is he actually going to pull it off in handcuffs?
Yeah. Could he somehow do this? But Rock takes over. puts a chair on Foley's face and hits him with the people's elbow. That easily could have been the finish to this match.
Mick Foley has said, and I believe he says it in Have a Nice Day, that like that's the moment where he realized this was all going to go wrong. Is because that hurt a lot. Because you don't realize that not getting your hands up to protect you from stuff like that, people's elbow doesn't hurt, but like it'll still drive the chair into your face.
Yeah, The Rock's 250 plus pounds. Like, people always make fun of the idea of an elbow drop beating you, but like, Rock's a big dude. Him dropping an elbow on you would hurt.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. And like, let me say, this is the last moment in this match when this match is good.
No.
I like the idea of this match. The idea that, like, in order for Mankind to lose, The Rock has to beat him basically to death, but he just won't quit. Like, there's no place The Rock can get to make him quit. And in order to tell that story effectively, you've got to beat the shit out of Mick Foley.
He could have hit him with 50 chair shots to the back.
Yes, see, that's what I'm saying. If this match
wear him out
with like 50 back chair shots and maybe like one headshot, like
one big headshot
when he's on his knees in handcuffs. Like, I'm not happy with one unprotected chair shot to the head, but if that's what this match needs, then whatever. Like, this is pre-concussion knowledge. I get it. What winds up happening is the most reprehensible thing maybe in wrestling history.
Let me propose an alternate ending to this match where no one would have had to get hurt.
Okay.
As we know, Mick Foley's family is there in the crowd. What if Rock had handcuffed Foley like to the ring post and then teased he was going to hit Mick with the chair, but instead turned and threatened to hit Mick's wife with a chair as she's being like restrained by Boss Man and Shamrock. And he tells Foley, quit or I'm going to knock your wife out.
Now, had they introduced that he had a wife and kids before this?
No.
So,
Other than the fact that he talked about them on Raw. Like, they easily could have.
I mean, if you're going with that, like, I'm totally down with that.
Yeah,
I think you just established, like, in the lead up to this match that his like wife and kids are watching.
Could have just been on Heat. You show him walking into the arena with his wife and kids.
Yeah.
Also, why the fuck did he bring his family to this show?
I will always wonder that.
Jesus.
What a horrible idea that was.
Man, I remember when Shane had that Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker, and he brought all his kids out before. I'm like, really? He wants them to see this?
I'd say, you know you're falling off the cell. That's the point of this match.
Yikes. But yeah, like, he knows he's going to take all these chair shots, and he thought it was a good idea for his kids to be there in the front row. His kids are young, too.
I mean, we should probably establish. Here's what Mick Foley thinks is going to happen. He's going to take like five chair shots in the ring. He's going to bail out to the floor. He's going to take like 2 more and then the knockout shot. Instead, he winds up taking like 20, but that's not what he's expecting. But that's still a lot.
Yeah. I mean, to the head, unprotected. Can't get his hands up to protect him. I mean, like, not only can he not get his hands up, but because he's handcuffed stiff, he can't really even roll with the chair shots like he normally would, even if he wasn't getting his hands up. Like, the handcuffs behind his back are forcing him to stand up straight. So he's just taking the full force of these chair shots. And as we've established, The Rock swings that chair like a wild man.
This is the point where we got to talk about The Rock. Because in the beginning, when he's doing the chair shots in the ring, it really seems like he's trying to hold back. Like, he's trying to catch him like on the side of the head. He's trying to be gentle. But as he goes, they get more and more vicious. Yeah. And there's a point where The Rock does what I would say is probably the single most reprehensible chair shot in the history of professional wrestling. And that is the point when they're on the rampway and Mick Foley offers Rock his back because he can't take another headshot. Yeah. He is clearly communicating to The Rock, I can't do this. And The Rock goes around him and hits him in the face.
That's really bad.
There is no forgiveness for that. That is something that should have haunted The Rock's career. If Jeff Jarrett had done that, they would have blackballed him from wrestling.
Oh, God. There's so many people who, like, God, if Roman Reigns did something like this, but It's The Rock, so he got away with it.
And I'm sure that in The Rock said, he's just like, this is mankind. This is Mick Foley. He can take it, right?
He's a human.
And that's the other reason why Rock doesn't get flack for this, is because Mick Foley can take anything.
Yeah.
But it's not true. This is disgusting. Like, especially like then it was disgusting. Then in the era where like people were getting set on fire and shit, people were like, this match is so gross, I don't want to watch it. Now that we know what concussions are you fucking serious?
If you were going to point to one thing that ended Mick Foley's career, this has got to be high on the list. Like,
it is amazing that Mick Foley does not have serious debilitating brain damage from just this match.
Yeah, I mean, he has memory issues. He says it happens to him all the time. He walks into a room and has no idea why he came in there.
Like, look, I don't want to be like way too real right now, but a lot of football players who have a lot of damage to their brain wind up killing themselves. And if that happens to Mick Foley, you can look right back here. This is not the only time that this happens. Mick Foley takes chair shots to the head his whole career. Like, this is just what he does. But this is disgusting. And it's all The Rock's fault. The Rock has never come out and explained what the fuck he was thinking on this night.
So if I were going to surmise what happens here, I think it was supposed to be like 5 chair shots. Foley gets out of the ring and he collapses. Maybe 5, and then he takes one outside and then he's down.
Right.
The chair shots hurt a lot more than he thought he did. Also, he's concussed after maybe the people's elbow, but like certainly after like the first 1 or 2 chair shots. He's out of it, and I don't think Foley realizes what he's doing because he doesn't sell these chair shots. Like,
so The Rock is getting fired up like, oh, he wants me to send him then.
Yeah. Like, takes the first one of the hardest chair shots I've ever seen. A second and a third. Rock gets the mic, says, mankind, your monkey ass says I quit. Foley says, you'll have to kill me. 4th chair shot. 5th. 6th. Foley's down and out. He rolls out of the ring and stumbles kind of in the direction of the aisle. He's out of it, but he still knows enough, like, I'm supposed to get to the ramp. Right. This is like when you're super drunk and you're like, I know I have to get home. Yeah. I have to get a cab. Where do I got to get out of the bar. Where do I go? Like, you know enough to get there eventually. It just takes a little while.
And maybe in The Rock's head, he's just like, all right, I got to get him up the ramp because I know where this is supposed to end. But that's how.
This is the point where Foley offers his back and Rock hits him in the head instead.
He walks around him, man. It's not like he just hits him in the head anyway, like he doesn't see it. He's just like, oh, your back. No, thank you.
Yeah. 7th chair shot, Foley gets back up. 8th chair shot, he's still standing. A 9th chair shot, Foley is down, but he pops right back up. Like, he's not selling the chair shots.
Yeah,
he doesn't know what's going on.
And maybe The Rock starts to panic at this point because, like, he's got to keep him down.
Yeah, that's the thing. Point. He does have to get knocked out, and like, he can't do a lot else to him. Like, he can't hit him with a rock bottom because he'll break his arms.
Right.
So, like, yeah, it's tough. But I do feel like he lightened up here at the end. Like, the first couple shots were really brutal. I feel like by the end here, he was starting to pull back, thankfully.
I feel like when he goes around and hits him in the head, he realizes something's wrong.
Yeah.
But it's too late. Like,
the announcers, Cole and Lawler, are both just like begging for this to stop. Like, including Lawler, who like is initially like cheering Rock on, and he's like, okay, that's enough. Like, Cole is like, please, Mr. McMahon, if you're listening, stop this match. Like, yeah, it's in character, but it doesn't really sound like it.
He's like pleading for the corporation to come out and help The Rock win. Like, he's pleading with Mick to quit.
Yeah.
And, like, Lawler never breaks character. I guess it's a testament to him. Like, even during, like, the Hell in a Cell and stuff, he's still the King Jerry Lawler on commentary. But, like, when the facade breaks a little, that's how you know it's serious.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, all right, Rock,
come on. That's enough. Yeah. A 10th chair shot, Foley's still standing. An 11th, Foley is down, and he stays down. Rock gets the mic. He says, now mankind is going to scream, I quit. He holds the mic by his head, and we hear Foley's voice. It's pretty clearly pre-recorded, but the announcers don't, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It's clearly a recording of Foley's promo from Heat, of Foley screaming, I quit. The Rock wins.
And here's the thing. That's a clever way to get out of this match if it's not for what we just saw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Again, one chair shot to the head, chair shots. He just has to be knocked out. Like, there's a bunch of ways for him to be unconscious at the end of this match. It didn't have to be 11 chair shots with him handcuffed. Like, it doesn't have to be insane because you don't have to believe that Mick Foley quit. Like,
right.
I don't know if the crowd thinks that he actually quit or not, but like, you're clearly going to reveal this ruse the next night on Raw.
And let's say this, like, when Mankind's fighting back in the handcuffs, the crowd's on fire.
Yeah.
By the end of this, they are silent.
They just witnessed a murder. Like,
this is the most violent thing I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. And I've seen people blow up, set on fire, all of that shit.
Bad. The only thing I can think of worse was, maybe that thing in TNA with the baseball bat last year in the chair.
Oh, yeah.
That was horrible.
But that was an accident.
Yeah.
And here's what makes it so...
Very stupid idea, but yeah, an accident. This pretty much, this went worse than it was supposed to, but the broad outline, this is what was supposed to happen here.
Here's what makes this so much worse. And like, I almost feel for The Rock here, but I'm just assuming that he would feel bad about this because I don't know. The Rock knows that he has to be a dickhead now. Despite the fact that Mick Foley he might be dead for all The Rock fucking knows. He's got to like pose over him and talk shit to him and cut the promo. He has to act like a cold, unfeeling piece of shit. So like he can't like check on Mick.
Yeah.
Like that ruins the whole thing.
Doing the right thing. So yeah, I think we've all heard the story of Foley being mad at The Rock. He was under the impression that Rock never came and checked on him. I've not seen it, but I've heard there's actually footage from Beyond the Mat of Rock coming to check on him, but Foley was concussed and didn't remember it. The bigger issue is, like, I don't think they ever had, like, a talk about what happened here. Like, they needed, after Foley was recovered, to, like, sit down and, like, talk man-to-man about this. And, like, everything could have been good, but it never happened. And that's, I think, where the resentment really started to, brew in Foley's mind. Well, and adding to that he ends up having to retire a year after this.
I wonder if anyone's ever actually asked The Rock about this.
I don't think, because his interviews are very tough. He doesn't really do wrestling interviews. Like, right. I'm trying to think of any he's ever done. So, not that I've seen, but I'd be curious to find out.
See, at the time, there wasn't really a place to do interviews like that.
There's no podcasts back then.
See, this is why we need press conferences. God damn it.
Ooh.
Imagine he's got to get in front of a fucking camera.
Press conference. Yeah. It's in Anaheim. Meltzer would have been there.
And Meltzer just gets up there and is like, Rock, what did you do to Mick Foley? What the hell were you thinking? Yeah. But then he would have just cut an in-character promo, so it doesn't really matter. But I will always wonder what Rock was thinking here, because I'm sure there's a reason he did this stuff, like a rationale. I don't think The Rock is an evil guy. Certainly nothing else he's ever done in his career indicates that he is.
No, I think he's just young and kind of immature at this point. And
I think this got badly botched, and he couldn't figure out how to salvage it.
A lot of issues in wrestling these are emotionally stunted men.
Right. And I'm sure there was an element of, oh, you're going to pop right back up after my chair shots? Then I'm going to lay you the fuck out.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley, look, there's a lot of tough guys in the wrestling business. And, like, I don't think Mick Foley could have at any point in his career won a fight against, like, Dwayne Gill. But imagine being so tough that your body just won't let you stay down.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing with the Vader thing where he tried to end his own career.
He couldn't do it.
And his body was like, nope, kip up, let's go. He's just some sort of like Wolverine regeneration shit he's got.
So another tidbit from Foley's book is he pitched Vince on in 2000, let me turn heel and go Cactus Jack on Rock and then Austin. Rock because of this match, and Austin because in the Hell in a Cell match, JR said that Foley was the toughest SOB he had ever seen in that kind of environment because he had to cover for Austin.
Right.
Vince, of course, looked at Mick and was like, Mick, you're too fat for that. You can't do that right now.
And I mean,
instead, we got Cactus versus Triple H, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But this feud could have been great.
I'm not sure that the fans would have let him turn heel. Like, I'm not sure that beating up Austin would have been enough to turn Mick at that point.
Yeah, probably not. But the promos would have been special.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Mick Foley, when he's got emotion and a real issue, is maybe the greatest promo in wrestling history.
And it's got to be so unhealthy to be Mick Foley. Because anytime he would get like a slight like that, he would just fucking dwell on it and just like seethe for months coming up with the perfect promo. It made great wrestling promos, but fuck, he must have been an asshole to deal with.
He just feels too much.
Yeah, man.
His emotions are just so strong. It's kind of that and his body being unbreakable are like his two superpowers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because they're not great ones to have.
Yeah. All right. It is now time for the shittiest Royal Rumble match ever.
It's so bad.
Austin is out first. Monster pop. Vince comes out. He doesn't have a shirt on. He is insanely jacked. This is definitely the best shape he was ever in.
And
he looks ridiculous.
Like, this is steroids. All right.
Of course. Yeah.
Let's be clear. Vince McMahon works out like 5 times a day, every day. He does not sleep. Like, there are many stories of people going into like the Titan Towers gym at 3 a.m. It's just Vince pumping iron by himself because he just doesn't do anything at night when other people are sleeping. But nobody's this jacked and working in a fucking corporate office.
Yeah. Like, he looks insane. Also got an entire tube of baby oil all over him.
Vince. But like, if you got this jacked, wouldn't you be like,
oh my God,
the baby oil, let's go.
Right. If I looked like that, I would never wear a shirt.
Fucking shine me up, baby. We're going to Dunkin' Donuts.
Bell rings. Austin beats the shit out of Vince. Just stomps him, body slams him, stomps on Vince's grapefruits. We get a solid 2 minutes of Austin kicking Vince's ass. And then Golga of the Oddities is number 3.
Okay. Again, I don't look at the card before I watch these shows. I didn't look to see who was going to be in this match. I watched it. So I was like, wow, Golga.
You might not have watched it if you had.
Yeah, it's like, Golga, that's a weird choice. Oh, well. And I didn't realize that Golga is a perfectly respectable person in this field. That's this field.
Yeah.
Gross.
He goes after Austin and immediately gets thrown out.
Yep.
Vince uses that distraction to crawl out of the ring and run into the crowd. Austin gives chase. They fight through the crowd and up into the concourse. The ring is empty, and we realize we've all been snookered, and the next 45 minutes are going to be completely meaningless.
Yep.
So strap in, boys and girls. Number 4 is draws of the Legion of Doom, but the camera is on Austin and McMahon. Austin chases Vince into the women's restroom where the corporate team is waiting. They tune up Austin as the cameraman gets knocked down. In the arena, the crowd is just watching draws stand in the ring alone.
But is that the most boring moment in the history of any Royal Rumble?
Yep. He's just fucking standing there.
A guy with no chance, just chilling in the ring by himself.
Here's how they would book this today. It would be Elias, and he would sing. Like, they would understand they would need to do something fun for the crowd to fill that time.
God, we complain about the modern product all the time, but let's give some credit. They have the Rumble down to a fucking science now. Like, there's no wasted moments like this. They would never do this now.
Edge is entrant number 5. Gilbert is number 6. He's 0-2, so the question is, who's first?
This is probably the best part of this Royal Rumble.
Gilbert being scared by the sparklers. Yeah.
Gilbert coming out, Edge dumping him out, being like, what the fuck was that about? Who is that guy?
We go to a shot of the bathroom where Austin is unconscious. Not bleeding, though. No blade job here.
Nope.
Steve Blackman is number 7. Austin is being attended to in the bathroom. Dan Severn is number 8. This is a long streak of no one getting a reaction.
Like, who are we supposed to be popping for? I mean,
they really needed like X-Pac to come in early here and like be the guy we care about. Who is the Iron Man? Like, they need somebody to hold this together.
We also have 4 heels in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, it's all shitheads here.
Austin is stretchered out. A bunch of people are out there on the concourse watching the stretcher job instead of the match, and I don't blame them at all.
Honestly, if I had been at the show and I was in the concourse getting a soda and I saw Austin stretchered out into an ambulance, I might have left. I might have been like, you know what? Who cares?
Be home in time to see the end on pay-per-view.
Trash.
Tiger Ali Singh is number 9. Seriously, listen to names.
God, Tiger Ali fucking Singh.
Austin is put into the ambulance. Blue Meanie is number 10. No one enters number 11, and then we see Mabel beating up Mosh backstage. Mabel comes to the ring wearing weird attire, a vest over a dress shirt and slacks, but he looks terrifying.
He does look terrifying, like the white mohawk and like the contacts and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's over 6'5" and gotta be well over 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, just enormous. I get why they see the money, but like, I don't know, it just never worked.
It's just not gonna work because he's so big that it's like a joke, right? Like, they got to put clothes on him because he just looks ridiculous.
I mean, that later in his career they didn't. Big Daddy V just had those weird suspender tights.
And also didn't get over.
Should have worked. Mabel eliminates Blackman and Severn and Singh. Road Dogg enters number 12 as Mabel tosses Meanie. Road Dogg eliminates Edge. Road Dogg and Mabel square off, and then the lights go out. It's Undertaker. The Acolytes and Midian attack Mabel and drag him up to the top of the aisle. Undertaker comes out and stares down Mabel. Mabel seems to be like maybe in a trance, but he's just kind of like, no, please don't. Like, instead of fighting, he's kind of begging the Undertaker not to hurt him.
Yeah, and then the Undertaker does this thing where he looks into his eyes and like hypnotizes him.
Yeah.
I guess.
Do you remember when Bray Wyatt did that to Xavier Woods?
Yes, it was super cool, and I thought it was going to go somewhere, and it didn't.
Like everything in Bray Wyatt's career.
Like, their reluctance to let Bray Wyatt actually be supernatural in any way has ruined his career. Like, okay, this could have all been saved if Road Dogg comes in at number 4 instead of number 12, right?
Yeah, somebody good needed to come in there. I mean, we just had 20 minutes of just trash.
And, like, there are decent people on this show, or in this Rumble.
Last 5 guys are, like, all the good guys. Like, we needed them early.
Yeah. Especially since, like, nobody's winning this but Austin, and everybody fucking knows it.
Road Dogg is alone in the ring. That's happening way too much in this match.
Bleh.
Gangrel is number 13. He lasts about a minute before Road Dogg eliminates him. Road Dogg is once again alone in the ring. Should also note the intervals are all over the place here. Like some of these are over 2 minutes and some of these are barely a minute.
They also go out of their way on multiple occasions to say that they're exactly evenly spaced intervals. And I'm like, why do you don't have to lie. Just say it like at intervals. Like Michael Cole's on commentary constantly saying evenly spaced.
That one with Midian, or the one with Viscera, was forever.
Yeah.
It was like 2.5 minutes there.
Ugh.
Kurgan of the Oddities is number 14. Al Snow enters number 15. He's gone quickly. Goldust is 16. Godfather is 17. Kane is number 18. Thank God. Let's clear this ring.
Yes,
and he does.
Please.
He eliminates Road Dogg, Kurgan, Godfather, and Goldust in about 30 seconds. And then a team of orderlies run out to try to take Kane to the insane asylum.
Yeah, what's this about? I don't remember why the orderlies are coming for Kane. Is it because he turned on the corporation or something?
Yeah, first it was Paul Bearer had Kane taken to the asylum, but now it's Vince doing it. I don't know.
And so Kane eliminates himself.
Kane like choke slams one of the orderlies and then like steps over the top rope and runs away. So he's eliminated and the ring is once again empty.
I mean, what?
Do we have to do this?
I wish at that point, like, somebody had come out like Pat Patterson and been like, the next two entrants come out at the same time.
Also, this could have lasted a little bit longer. You could have had an awesome, like, Kane is alone in the ring, and who's going to come out and fight him? Because Ken Shamrock is next.
And yeah, just have Ken Shamrock come out and we're like, oh shit, Corporation versus Kane, let's go. And then the orderlies run out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then by the time, like, Kane is gone and the orderlies are out, another person is coming down.
Yes. That's the time. That's why 2001 is the best Royal Rumble. It's because the timing is on fucking point. Every time Kane gets finished with like the honky tonk man or Drew Carey, the clock's already ticking for somebody else.
Really needed a honky tonk man cameo.
That's the other thing too, is that like I thought this as I was watching the show. There's $100,000 bounty. Wouldn't this have been a great Royal Rumble to bring back like a bunch of legends? To be like, oh, I heard there's $100,000 on the line. I'm coming for Austin. Here comes the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, okay, Sheik is like one of the only ones you can use, but like they all work for WCW is the problem.
That's a very good point. But like, yeah, that's why you put the Big Show on this show, though, right? It's because like he came from WCW for the fucking money.
If they have, I don't know if they have him quite yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's coming, but I don't know if like his non-compete's expired.
Yeah, that is a shame. I mean, I'm not saying that there was anybody that they should have brought. I don't really know who there is, but wouldn't that have been like a much better thing?
Actually, could have had. Yeah,
just stud it with people who don't really work here anymore, just to be like, we came back for the money.
You know who's available?
Who?
Sid.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
Yeah.
If Austin comes out and the next person out is fucking Sid
would have gotten here would have been insane.
Oh my God. Why did you say that?
Man, I really wish Taker really should. I mean, he was too hurt to work, but like Taker in this Rumble would have helped.
When his music hits and the lights go out and he doesn't wrestle in this match, it was like all the air came out.
Yeah, I mean, Taker would have been a great roadblock for Austin at the end.
Fuck yes.
What happens next? Shamrock stands around. Vince comes back, takes a seat at the announce table, and proceeds to do commentary, which he's surprisingly boring at. Like, I don't know what the right way for him to be on commentary here is. Maybe it would have been best if he had just been like cheesy, like 80s announcer Vince.
Yeah, but he's not self-aware about that. He thinks that was good commentary.
He thinks that was being a baby face, yeah.
How fucking great would that have been, though, if you're just like, what a maneuver!
Yeah. Oh, he got it! He got it! No, he didn't. Billy Gunn limps to the ring wearing one boot at number 20.
Yep.
Test is number 21. Then we go to the parking lot where Mabel is still being beaten up. The Acolytes throw him into a hearse and he's driven away. He would be sacrificed on Raw the next night and become Viscera.
Yep.
And then an ambulance pull. Yeah, so as the hearse is driving out, the ambulance drives past it and Austin gets out. So Austin's driving the ambulance. Austin's back. Crowd goes crazy. He comes down the aisle, not selling at all. Like, doesn't look like he's been hurt at all here.
It's not good. And,
No.
like, it's too soon. Like, we're still only at, like, 22.
Yeah.
Like, this should happen to, like, 28.
Probably. So he gets in the ring and there isn't much for him to do.
Yeah.
Big Boss Man is 22. Austin goes after Vince, but Vince runs away and Shamrock cuts off Austin. Austin then dumps Shamrock out because I guess we couldn't have had someone, credible and over in the ring for too long. That was a problem that needed to be resolved.
Yeah.
Triple H is number 23. Val Venus is number 24. X-Pac is number 25. Like, really backloading it with the good people that we could have used earlier.
Yeah, like there's obviously these are not good people. Like, this is not awesome, but at least it's somebody. Even Test is a big name in this Rumble.
Yeah, at least these guys are over. It's better than that stretch of like Golga, Tiger Ali, Singh, Draws, Severn, Blackman.
There are conservatively 17 people you could just leave out of this Rumble and it would make no difference.
Mark Henry is number 26 and he gets a surprising pop. Hilariously, when Sammy is referenced on commentary, Vince just kind of mutters, "Oh yeah, that was a mistake." Not sure whether he's talking from Henry's perspective or from a business perspective.
Agreed.
Jarrett is number 27. This is where I realized no one is trying to eliminate Austin, despite the bounty.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, is that what the fuck is the point of the bounty now?
Yeah. Remember the year before this when there were like 15 people in the ring when Austin's music hit and they all stopped fighting and turned and looked at the entrance and waited for him to come down?
That's why I always get that 98,
yes,
99 confused. Because they treat it like there's a fucking bounty on his head in that match. And it's a great moment because Austin comes out, sees 20 guys in the ring ready to kill him. He's like, fuck y'all, gets in there and beats all of their asses.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really what should have happened here. Everybody should be going for the money.
There's only two ways to do this. Austin comes in late, there's a bunch of people in, he beats all their asses and chucks them all out. Or Austin stays in the entire time and one by one has to eliminate the whole roster that are gunning for him.
I don't think Austin was going to do 60 minutes.
Yeah, they don't do either of those. They just kind of fuck around.
Yeah, I think I guess it would have been a rehash the year before, but yeah, Austin should have entered in the 20s. Like, I think it would have just been better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you're going to do the Austin Vince thing, Vince should be the 30th entrant. And the story is, like, can Austin get to Vince? Can he survive and eliminate everybody so that Vince has to get in the ring and fight him?
And then, once you finally get to the end, he dumps out everybody before Vince gets in the ring. So it's just him and Vince. And then the corporation fucks him. And that's how you do that. Like, that's when you have somebody join the corporation. Like, Chyna turns heel or Big Show debuts or something like that.
Yeah. Jarrett mixes it up with Austin. He's still trying to get that Austin feud that Austin refused to have with him.
That's Steve Austin has done a lot of bad things in his life, but one of the best ones he's ever done was shit on Jeff Jarrett.
Deserved it.
Oh, yes.
Just what karma that Jarrett said a really shitty thing to Austin. like when he was working in Memphis and got his paycheck, and it was for like $100, and he's staring at it in disbelief, and Jarrett walks by and says, "Hey, it ain't gonna get any bigger by you staring at it, buddy." And
Yep.
years later, Austin is the top man in the business, and Jarrett's desperate to work a program with him, and Austin goes, "Fuck you."
That is the definitive be nice to people who are nobody, because it'll come back to fucking bite you later.
Never know. D'Lo Brown is number 28 with Terry and Jacqueline, who are Pretty Mean Sisters or PMS. That's a stable.
It sure is. Eventually they'll get meat in there. That's something. Yeah.
Test and X-Pac are both eliminated. Jarrett is eliminated as Owen Hart comes out number 29. And then Chyna is 30. She gets a monster pop.
I'm really upset that she gets one elimination and not like 10.
Third biggest star in the match after Austin and Vince.
She seriously is.
Yeah. Full ring with Austin, Henry, Triple H, Owen, Bossman, Venus, D'Lo, and Chyna, plus Vince out on the floor. Chyna tosses Mark Henry, and then Austin sneaks up behind her and clotheslines her out, so she's literally gone after 30 seconds.
It's almost like Austin is like the arm of the patriarchy, being like, "I'm not working with you." Bam!
And the pop we would have gotten for Chyna and Austin actually squaring off would have been insane.
If Austin had just been willing to work with Chyna,
the
money they could have drawn
never would have happened.
I know that that's true. I wonder if Rock would have worked with her. It wouldn't have been the same.
There would have been so many people in Rock's ear telling him not to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
Austin stuns Triple H and tosses him out. We're down to Austin, Bossman, D'Lo, and Owen, plus Vince outside. Owen hits an enziguri on Austin. He charges Austin, but gets backdropped over the top rope. D'Lo hits Austin with the lowdown. Bossman sneaks up on D'Lo and eliminates him. Austin pops up, stuns Bossman, clotheslines him out of the ring. So we're down to just Austin and Vince. Let's get it on. Austin and Vince fight at the announce table. Vince tries to run into the crowd. Austin drags him back to the ring. Austin takes his time beating Vince up, at which point Rock comes down the aisle. He gets up on the apron. Him and Austin fight. Austin gets snuck up on by Vince. Vince dumps Austin over the top rope and wins the Royal Rumble in legitimately one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history.
Yep. And then they spend the next 5 minutes celebrating.
Man, I had, going into this, had never considered the possibility that anyone other than Austin would win.
And obviously, Vince Russo loves the swerve. This is a good swerve. Like, it leaves you leaving this being like, I have no idea what the fuck is going to happen now. Let's throw it into Raw.
Is Austin going to win the title and then wrestle Vince for it at WrestleMania? Like,
that's what I definitely would have thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah.
Because that match would have sucked.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, can't say it was a harmful decision. I mean, Austin's bulletproof by this point, and like he him and Rock fight kind of back out of the arena, and then Vince, cracks a beer and drinks it to celebrate. Vince McMahon wins the 1999 Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you can't really complain too much because all the right elements are in place. Vince screws Austin. Austin and The Rock are feuding. We're going to get to Mania. Austin and The Rock are going to wrestle. It's going to be great. It's fine. They obviously could have gotten there a lot of what I think are much better ways, but it is what it is. They knew what they needed to get to, and they get there. It's whatever.
It's just, in this era, there's no way they're going to do a full 2-month chase. Like, they're not just going to set the match here at the Rumble, which I feel like is the way that always strikes me as like the way it should work, that like the guy wins the Rumble and then the champion's music hits and he comes out and lifts up the title at the top of the ramp and they stare down and we've got our WrestleMania main event set. But more frequently, there's some shenanigans along the way like there were here. So yeah, this show was simultaneously terrible, but I enjoyed watching it.
I think that's a really good way to sum it up. This Royal Rumble is the most boring one in the history of the Royal Rumble. If you want to watch it, I recommend fast forwarding until, let's say, Austin comes back and just watching from there.
I think obviously they've got a thin roster, but I think they did an awful job booking this.
Yeah. It's so weird. I don't know if Pat just wasn't there. Like, this is way too sloppy to be a Pat Patterson Rumble.
Yeah, did they really think this stuff was going to work? Like, just the sheer amount of dead air here, of the amount of times where there's one person in the ring or no one in the ring, and then that horrible stretch in the beginning of nobody's.
Yep.
Like, no fun surprise entrance, no like comedy to lighten things up. Just, waiting around for Austin to come back.
I almost feel like maybe Russo himself did this. I hate attributing everything bad being just Russo's fault.
Yeah.
But like, just the mad focus on McMahon and Austin at the exclusion of everything else, just, it doesn't feel right. It's not normal Pat.
Yeah. I mean, I think the two things that make the Rumble are, what stars do you have? And then, how many fun creative spots can you book? And here, I don't know, what did they do that was fun and creative? The Kane Orderlies spot was something different, and that was about it. Other than that, it was just kind of dudes punching each other the whole time.
Yeah, the Gilbert thing, but that was just basically his gimmick.
Yeah. And then as far as stars, it was just Austin and McMahon, and like, Kane is pretty over, but he was in the match for a minute.
Yep.
No Taker. Foley and Rock are in the title match. Yeah, I mean, you're just thin. You just don't have a bunch of top guys for this one.
And honestly, this is a sign of how over Austin is that they look at the roster like, wow, we got nobody to pad out the Rumble. Who gives a shit? Austin's in the Rumble.
And the show still drew 650,000 buys.
There you go, man. We're at a point in the business where it doesn't fucking matter who else is there. All you need is Austin.
Yeah. Company cleared $10 million on this one.
6 months from now, Austin won't be enough by himself anymore. But for right now, Austin.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's a wrap on Royal Rumble 01. Any other thoughts on the show?
No, I just really like to watch a better Rumble than this, please.
Yeah, well, pick any other one because they're all pretty much better than this one.
Agreed.
Ooh, so that's it. Worst Royal Rumble of all time. We'll see you again next time, guys.